Welcome to the weekly Stack Planeteers. As always, I buy a bag of comics at House of Secrets in Burbank, California, and then I go through the stack that's in that bag to talk about the books that I've read or the books that I need to read, but that I have purchased, and kind of go through justifying what's good. I do not claim that I have all that is good. I would love to hear from you to see if there are books that I should be reading that I have simply missed out on, because the other thing is that not all comic shops get all comics. So when I say I go to House of Secrets, then sometimes if I'm in another town for whatever reason, I'll go into that comic shop and see what did I miss? What did I miss? So anyway, there's that. And up front, of course, too, if you have not already, please sign up for the Kickstarter for Horror Not Hate, which is a horror comics anthology and art book that the Kickstarter will now, I do know, launch on December 29th. And I don't even know how many pages. I know it's going to be huge because I've seen some of the names attached, and there's a lot of stuff going on here. All of the proceeds, after, of course, printing and distribution costs, will go to benefit civil rights groups, so far named Lambda Law and Churla. And I'm sure there'll be more, as unfortunately, I'm sure the need is only going to get greater in the near future. And, it's a small way to stand up and use our powers for good. So I'm grateful to be part of that. And that is why I push it partially, because yes, I am returning to writing comics and I'm very excited about that. So let's get into the stack, shall we? First of all, issue number 2 of Synthetics, Volume 1. This is by J. Michael Straczynski, Tony Parker, Kerry Strachan, and Steve Dutro. And of course, once again, if I have mispronounced any names, please let me know. I'm pretty sure I'm good with Straczynski and Parker, but not sure about everybody else. Anyway, I am caught up. I read the first issue when I picked it up at, actually, I think Golden Apple, because I missed it at House of Secrets. My fault, not theirs. And I like this kind of a dystopian sci-fi. I don't even want to call it dystopian. A logical extrapolation, which I do hope the JMS is wrong about where we're headed, but you might be right. But his solution seems to be a little brighter than I thought it was after the first issue. So I do love seeing hard sci-fi comics happen, and that's what this is. It's hard sci-fi. It's not attached to any other IP. I even kind of hate using the term IP, but I get why I should, So, I mean, that's what it is. So anyway, I really recommend that. It is, of course, all fight month. So here, DC, through DCKO, it's Wonder Woman versus Lobo. And this is, that was the alternate cover by Dan Panosian. I think that I'm glad that I got that variant, but it wasn't on purpose. Here is the other cover you would see in there, plus a house ad for Nubia. Credits here. Joelle Jones is the writer. She had done a run on Catwoman a while back that I absolutely loved. And Jason Howard on art from pages 1 to 19. Carrie Nord. These are pencils from 20 to 28. And Daniel Bayliss from 29 to 30. Tamara Bonvillain and Daniel Bayliss are the colors, and Clayton Cowles is on letters. This is fun, especially coming, it was a day before they released the Supergirl trailer, in which you can catch on Fanboy Planet's YouTube channel, or no, actually you can catch it on Fanboy Planet. Sorry, not on my YouTube channel, but because it gave a quick glimpse of Jason Momoa as Lobo, so his time is back up. This was kind of fun because, as happened with the Superman versus Captain Atom, you see the rules a little bit better, where it's the different kinds, the different forms of these heroes. And so the golden armor of Wonder Woman shows up, and the weird New 52 Lobo shows up. I did not pay enough attention at that time to figure out why that happened, because it looks very different than the others, and clearly DC backtracked really quickly. So I admit, blank spot in my knowledge, what happened to that Lobo. So anyway, it's funny, it's fun, because Lobo books should be It's a little at odds maybe with Wonder Woman, especially with what's going on over in Wonder Woman's regular book, but I'm okay with it. Look, that's the nature of this crossover. It's video game fighting and then a plot beyond that, which I don't want to spoil if you're not reading, but it's all to get the heart of Apocalypse, so that one hero or one villain. I think we know where that's going to go, but I don't know. Will become the King Omega and be able to fight the return of Darkseid. And so this, leads into other books there's a checklist of all the different fighting that's going to happen, and I may or may not read all of it. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a fun concept, but I don't know. Obviously, I'm behind. So here's another one where I picked up a variant cover not on purpose. This is just what was in front, so I bought it. Brian Boland cover for Batman Gotham by Gaslight, A League for Justice, issue number 6. So this is wrapping up. This is the regular cover, you may see. And again, how sad. Andy Diggle, Leandro Fernandez, and Matt Hollingsworth. And I want to thank DC, because this is what I've been asking for, is please give me all the credits on the cover. Although I suspect this may have left off the letterer. But let me just double check that. And Simon Boland is the letterer. So anyway, I enjoy this because I've been a sucker for Gotham by Gaslight as a concept since it first happened. Batman versus Jack the Ripper in Gotham in 1890 or 1890. So I kind of like this. It's a little bit steampunk. It is taking the courage to kind of mess around with what our expectations are. There is a Martian Manhunter, but a very different version, and a Green Lantern is not who you might think it would be either. So this is kind of fun. It's a good read too, and I find that kind of important. All right, so it's messing with continuity as we know it, of course, because it's not continuity. It's an Elseworlds, and I love it. I love that they're continuing this world, but not in an overkill kind of way. So I love to see this Justice League. Anyway, last of the books that I actually have caught up and read on, Death to Pachuco by Henry Barajas, and art direction by Rachel Merrill, color art by Lee Lawridge, and I should also say that Henry Barajas also did the lettering. And I got the cover by Tula Lotte, which I think is the main one. Like anybody, I think I'm kind of falling in love with Tula Lotte's artwork. And of course, and I just love that, but inside is still a gritty murder mystery, while also talking a lot about race relations. I think when I talked to Henry, when I met him actually at Revenge of, I said what had stuck out to me was the line is, "Now is not a good time to be a Mexican," and unfortunately, obviously there is no good time in the US no matter what we say, and so we got to fight to make it a better time. And but I love World War II stuff, or World War II era, because this is not really in World War II. This is in LA, the Zoot Suit riots, which I admit I don't know enough about. And so again, I thank Henry for putting out a really good book that is going to lead me to, I think, learning a lot more about local history, local now that I'm in LA. And it's also leading me to, I haven't read this yet, and I think that it's been out for a little while, but he has a memoir in comics form, La Voz de Mayo Tatarambo, about his I think great grandfather. So I'm very much looking forward to further exploring his work, and so that's cool. Anyway, those are the books that I caught up on. Okay, and I spent a lot of time this weekend catching up on other books, so I'll be better, because one, I absolutely have to catch up because this is fantastic, is Absolute Batman number 15. I did just read the annual, which was great, and this here is, of course, you've probably heard the revelation of the Absolute Joker, and other than this cover, I don't know what's going on in there, but it is a book that I got to catch up. Scott Snyder is the writer. Jock is the guest artist, and Frank Martin is the colorist, and Clayton Cowles is the letterer. And I'm very much looking forward to this because Absolute Batman is terrific, just as Absolute Superman is, Absolute Wonder Woman. I'm warming up on Absolute Flash, definitely Absolute Green Lantern, and I was thrilled to see that Absolute Martian Manhunter is going to continue because I thought that was such a way out there concept to rethink the Martian Manhunter. I'm in. One that I don't know why I picked it up in the first place, and then I ended up being absolutely hooked. Jeff Lemire, and with written and illustrated by and colored by Patricio Del Pesce and lettered by Steve Wands. And you're wondering what book is it? It's Minor Arcana. And I like what Jeff Lemire writes, and I know some people don't necessarily like his art, but I don't know, it's really suiting this book. And I think that's it. When he tells more personal stories, I can't imagine anybody else drawing them, So anyway, this is about a young woman returning to her hometown, and her mother is the local tarot reader who is dying, and so she's come to kind of like make peace, and then makes peace with taking over the family business, which she doesn't really want to do. There's a lot more going on because it turns out that the family business also involves talking to the dead. And I'm fascinated by this kind of tale. I love where Jeff Lemire is going with it. And so Minor Arcana, if you have not read any of this, I believe at least the first volume in trade paperback is out. So, check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. I'm not going to necessarily say it's one of my top 10 for the year, because I've read some stuff that just blew me away and I haven't talked about yet, and I got to make some time this week. But this is pretty good. It might end up in my top 10 of, when I say top 10, of books I've read. Again, I know it sounds like I'm just backtracking all over the place, but no, seriously, I know. I'm looking to find out what else do I need to read. I'm really trying to devote more time. Ultimate Spider-Man 23. I have talked about how much I love Ultimate Spider-Man. Writer is Jonathan Hickman. The artists are Marco Cicchetto and David Messina. Colorist is Matthew Wilson. And they say color artist, which is true. Absolutely. I don't mean to sell anybody short, and I need to remind myself to look up, again, the name of the colorist for my story in Horror Not Hate, who I inadvertently left out because I don't know him. This was kind of a random assign, but I knew his work. And now, look, I'm 60 and names are escaping me, and I have to look them back up. So anyway, letterer is VC's Corey Petit, and again, love this. We're getting very close to the end of the Ultimate Universe, and I was talking about this with the guys at House of Secrets, and I just said how much I love that story is going to end. We can revisit, from time to time, these versions. I'm down with that, but I love a story that just kind of reaches an end. The serialization works to me up to a point, but if you give me a really good concept, it's not necessarily meant to go on forever. I want to see, anyway. So that's that. Ultimate Spider-Man, do yourself a favor there. An interesting contradiction because, of course, last week everyone's talking about Supergirl, and that, as I said, Supergirl number 8. We're talking about a movie that is adapted from the fantastic series Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. And I reread that over the weekend because I wanted to, both reassure my wife about some plot points that seemed to be teased in that trailer, and also just to re-experience it, because the first time I read it was on the app, and so then I had the deluxe edition. And Tom King, Bill Quisevely, it is a beautiful, interesting book that is almost like, well, it's definitely a different version of Supergirl than longtime comics readers were used to, though a very logical extrapolation. And then that's where the DC universe, the films, are going. But this is Sophie Campbell, writer and cover artist. Haining is the artist. Alex Gumaris is the colorist, and Becca Carey is the letterer. And this is, for me, the weirdest book in how I'm going to describe why I love it. It is absolutely not for me. I know that sounds weird. It is absolutely not for me. It is definitely meant for YA or middle school young ladies reading. I hope young boys too. Look, because Supergirl's kind of a cool character, but Sophie Campbell she's wrestling with all the weird little things of Supergirl's past and continuity. That that are, so there's the Supergirl robot, because of course Superman in the Silver Age had robot duplicates. So did Supergirl, that lived in a tree. It was actually a Linda Lee Danvers robot that stayed in a tree, and then when Supergirl appeared, the robot came out. And it's just, there are silly elements, and Sophie Campbell has grabbed a hold of each one and made it fun and kind of makes sense for 2025. There need to be books like this. This is an all-in, they say. It doesn't necessarily fit, though, in the continuity of everything else that's going on. Certainly, the Supergirl that I think I glimpsed in the DCKO is not the Supergirl in this book, but there's room for both, and that's I love that. Like I say, it's not written for me, and yet I keep buying it and keep enjoying it, and it's a good book regardless. I recognize that, but I don't know why I'm reading it, except it's just really good. So, hey, I'm there. Then I bought a trade paperback, and this is one of those, there's the critical acclaim. People keep telling me about this book, not the least of which is Jerry Dugan himself, writing Falling in Love on the Path to Hell from, I believe this is Image Comics. So it's Jerry Dugan and Gary Brown, story and art, although chapter 9 is story and art by Jerry Dugan and Mark Torres. The colorist is Chris O'Halloran, and the letterer is Joe Sabino. This is volume 2, and I had volume 1 in a stack, and I'm buying this because, one, I think Image does a really good job of packaging their trade paperbacks in making them reasonably affordable. And that's one reason. But the main thing is, yes, the acclaim on this book is so much. I've got to find out. But as I say, I have volume 1 in a stack off to my side, and I have not read it yet. But I saw volume 2 on the shelf, and I was like, well, I know I'm going to get it anyway, so might as well get it now. So there we go. That's where we are. I don't necessarily buy a trade paperback every week that I go to House of Secrets, but I do tend to pick up series that I've missed, or there are a few, like I'm going to say Dan Panosian has a book called The Last Boy that I missed a couple of issues, or actually I missed the first 2 issues. So if the first one I could get was number 3, then I just kind of go like, no, I got to wait and I'll buy the trade paperback, because regardless, I like Dan Panosian's work, right? So anyway, looking forward to that trade. So that's it for this week. I want to remind you, please, if there's something that you really love that I am not reading, or maybe I don't talk about it because I'm catching up on one of the apps of DC Infinite or Marvel Comics Unlimited, both of which are, well, DC is a little more up to date, but Marvel is a few months behind, and that's okay. I mean, I'm saving a little money, I think, by reading, and that's where I'm dipping back into like Spider-Man runs, and certainly though I'm behind, I'm keeping up on Hulk, but the app did its job, because the reason I'm buying the Mortal Thor is because I was enjoying the Immortal Thor on the app, and I'm like, well, here's the next chapter. I want to catch up and read this in real time. So, it did its job. So anyway, thank you. And more than ever, as we're going into the holidays, use your powers for good. Be kind, and I will interact with you soon.